G'day and welcome to another video with Better Pics. Hope this finds everyone well. Today's video is around exporting images out of Lightroom. As with many export and save options for software in general, really, there's a lot of options. So we're going to look at a few of those today. You can see I'm in Lightroom at the moment and I have a bunch of images there. They're all DNGs and we're going to use these as samples to export, just to show what those options are. So what we're going to do here, you can see I'm just in library mode with Lightroom, and we're just going to either click export, or you can also go up to file, export, and the shortcut, obviously I'm on a Windows laptop at the moment, is Control-Shift-E. But we're just going to click on the export button there, quick and easy, and it does the job. Alright, so this is the export dialog box. This gives you all the options of where and how you want to save your files. So you can see up the top here on the left hand side, initially I have export to hard drive. Now there's a few other options there, however hard drive is the one that we're going to go to today, mainly because we are simply exporting to a hard drive, so we're saving the photos out after we've done our preferred edits, and we'll go from there. Alright, now the first option, export location, we have a number of options there. You can see the first one is to a specific folder, which is currently ticked. So that's a specific folder that you choose, which you can see the choose button there over on the right hand side. Same folder as original photo is the next option down. Now my recommendation is to always save your edits or save your image adjustments into a separate folder, and naming those folders based on what the exports are, so that it might be a full resolution image, it might be web ready image, it might be proofs for a client, it could be a whole bunch of things, which is why I always choose specific folder. However, if you do want to, you can save them as the original, same folder as the original photo. There's another option there, choose folder later, which is useful for presets, which we'll see in a little bit. You can save them to your desktop, to your My Documents folder, to a user folder, My Videos folder, My Pictures folder. Generally speaking, because I work on external storage devices, I always choose a specific folder, because then I'm choosing exactly where and on what storage device I would like my images to be saved. So we're going to go with specific folder for today. So we're now going to choose where that folder is. You can see that I've created here exported images, and I've just literally created that folder just for the purpose of showing what I would normally do for my folder structure. The DNG folder directly above is where those images have come from. So you can see, as I said, I've just created that extra folder, and then within that folder I'm going to create another folder. I'm very big on organizing images, hence why there are a number of folders. So that folder is going to be called Full Resolution Images. Pretty simple. Simply because today when I export these images, I'm going to be exporting them as the full resolution images. Now you might create another folder which might be web resolution, whatever that may mean. It could be specifically to Instagram. It could be specifically to a client who would like to proof the images that you're sending through. Now, all of these folders I'm just creating on the fly as I'm talking. So those folders can be anything you like. They don't have to be full resolution images, Instagram, web resolution, or client proof, the ones that I've created there. They can literally be whatever you want. The main thing is that you develop a process, which means your images are organized, so that if I say to you, or if you wanted to find images for Facebook, you know exactly where to go to find those images. Or if you want to create a folder full of full resolution images because they're being printed, then you can do that. You can create full resolution images and have a place to store them. So the important thing is that you work out a process where your images and your assets are organized and you're able to find them quickly and easily. How you actually do that is entirely up to you. This is just the system that I use. So as I mentioned, Better Pics, exported images, and you can see I've got all of those folders right there ready to go. So I'm going to click and select the full resolution images. As I mentioned earlier, that's what I'm going to be exporting today. Now you can put in a subfolder if you want. For example, I could have chosen export images and then put in a subfolder here, full resolution images. So that's another way that you can do it. However, really you're achieving the same thing, so it's neither here nor there. The next option below there is add to this catalog. So what that basically means is that it's going to re-import the images directly back into Lightroom, so you have them available in your catalog to see immediately. Otherwise you'll need to go into a re-import process through Lightroom manually, as you would normally do for any image, or simply navigate your way to the folder where you have the images stored, either in Finder or in Windows. That little checkbox there just means that you can add it directly into the catalog so that it's available for viewing in Lightroom immediately. If there's existing files, it will prompt you, or you have the option to have it prompt you to ask what to do. Choose a new name for the exported file, overwrite without warning, or skip. So there's a number of options there. I generally leave it on ask what to do because if there's already folders or files in there, I want to be prompted to make a decision about how I handle that situation. Alright, the next option down below export location is file naming. Now you have the option with Lightroom to rename your file as it's exported, and it may be, for example, any number of these options. So you can have a custom name with the original file number so that you're able to refer back to the DNG or your raw images, which image that actually is. Where that's particularly handy is if you're dealing with a large number of files. So if you've been away on a holiday and you've shot several thousand images, that could be a good way to reference quickly exactly which raw or digital negative file it is that you're working from. Custom name plus sequence. So custom name may be text. I'm just going to call it that. Actually, what I'm going to do is call it Italy as an example. And the sequence number is number 1. You can see down the bottom there the example that tells you exactly how that's going to look. So Italy-1.jpg as an example. Now that text can be anything you want it to be. Obviously, whatever text you put in there, it's good to put in text that's going to help you reference the images. So for example, it may be Italy 2019 with a sequence number, or it may be Italy space Rome, so if you have images specifically in Rome, and then a sequence number. So as you can see, custom name with sequence number, there's a number of options there. You also just have a custom name, date and file name sequence, and file name, and you can even edit the options there as well. Today I'm not going to rename, but you can see that that option is there, and it's certainly handy to help specifically name your files for ease of workflow. Alright, the next option down is video. Now we're not working with video today, so we don't need to worry about that one. So you can reduce that option box. File settings. Now this is where we decide what the image is going to be saved as. So for example, with the image format, you have JPEG, PSD, TIFF, DNG, and original. You also have a color space. Now I'm going to save them as sRGB today. Generally speaking, if I am going to be printing files, I save them as Adobe RGB because it's a bigger color space. I tend to find that my colors are affected a little bit less and I get better results. But today we're just going to go with sRGB. Quality is on a scale of 0 to 100. So as I'm doing full resolution images, I'm going to go with quality 100. However, you do have the option there to also limit the file size. So you may want to have, for example, a maximum file size of 5 megabytes, in which case you would put 5,000 there, 5,000 kilobytes. So that option is a really good one. I've had a number of publications in the past specify to me that the image needs to be a maximum of 2 megabytes. So it is a handy thing to do so that you can have your images fit within the requirements of a particular publication. So that's where that setting comes in handy. You can also, in conjunction with your file settings, the next option down is your image sizing. So for example, One of the agencies that I've had images published through requests that images are a minimum of 5,000 pixels on the longest edge, in which case if you're trying to deliver quickly and with maximum quality but with minimum image size, you might select the long edge of 5,000 pixels and limit your file size to say 2 megabytes, which is 2,000 kilobytes. So, and obviously print resolution of 300 pixels per inch. You also have an option there, don't enlarge, and that would be if you specifically are selecting or setting your image sizing to larger than some of the images that you're exporting. So that's worth considering as well. So if, say, for example, you have an image that's currently 4,000 pixels on the longest edge, you may specify that you don't want that image to be enlarged. Okay, so that's a handy feature to have. I'm going to uncheck that because we don't actually want to resize the images today. And I'm going to uncheck the file size because I want the quality to be 100. Even though I'm saving at JPEG, I want to save at a maximum quality possible. But obviously those settings are important to know and understand should you be exporting for a specific purpose. All right, output sharpening. I don't generally sharpen on export, but you do have the option there to sharpen for screen, matte paper and glossy paper, as well as, and obviously the matte paper and glossy paper are for print usage, and the amount low, standard or high. Now there's some good options there, but I tend to prefer sharpening within the edit process because it gives me more control, and just through experience I can sharpen specifically for wherever the image is going. So sharpen for web, sharpen for print, depending on the size and the detail that's in the image. I'm going to sharpen an image differently if it was shot at say 4000 ISO than if I had an image shot at 100 ISO. So a few considerations there for sharpening, but the option is there if you would like to use it. Alright, metadata, I generally leave on all metadata because I have already put metadata into my files and I want to preserve that metadata. So metadata is information like my name, my website, my contact phone number, my email address, as well as any rights usage for copyright considerations that I have embedded in the file, as well as any descriptive keywords and descriptions that I have embedded into the file as well to help wherever the image is going. For example, if it's going to publication, they need to know the caption, the description, the keywords that's involved or embedded with the image. So yeah, I just leave that at all metadata. However, you do have the option there to limit the metadata included in the export. As I mentioned, all metadata is the option that I usually go for. Alright, watermarking. So you can watermark on export with Lightroom. Generally speaking, I have always done this in Photoshop. However, if you have a large number of images, then this is a good option as well. So you have a simple copyright watermark, or you can edit the watermark, which opens up into the watermark editor. Now, you can just put simple text, as you can see down the bottom there, it just defaults to copyright. However, you can add that text, copyright Damien, for example, or you can actually use an image. So if you choose a PNG, for example, that has a transparent background, then it will be beautifully laid over your images. You can also adjust the text options, the watermark effect, the opacity, the size. There's a whole bunch of options there. For example, if I was sending low resolution proof images through to a client, I would have a very faint watermark over the whole image, just so that they fully understand clearly that these images are not for publishing. It may just be an interim send through of images to the client so that they can check the edits, make sure they're happy with everything. The copyright or watermark allows them to see that these are not images that are ready for publishing, which can happen. Sometimes if you send through a medium resolution, they think, oh yep, good to go, and they may publish those images. So it just means that you have full control over the final results, the resolution and the quality and compression levels that you send through for publication. So just looking further down, a whole bunch of options there, as I mentioned, with watermarks, where you have the text anchored, you can really control completely how that watermark looks on each image. I'm going to cancel that because I'm not going to be placing a watermark over my images today, but it's at least you're aware that that option is there, and it's a great way to put, say for example, if you're saving 100 images that are destined for web, if you're putting them onto social media or something like that, it's a quick and easy way to put a watermark across all of those images. Alright, post-processing. So with post-processing, you do have the option to either do nothing, show an Explorer, open in Adobe Photoshop, open in other applications, and go to Export Actions folder now. So you have those options that if you want to speed up your workflow and you intend to do something with your images afterwards, then you can select that there. So that's great if you're under time pressure, if you're trying to get an image out for publication and you need to quickly, for example, do something within Photoshop or go to Explorer so you can quickly copy those images to some sort of sharing software or platform, and that will just help speed up that process a little bit. So that's it really. That's the export options that are available in Lightroom. So lots of options there. The nice thing is that with exporting from Lightroom, once you really understand this process and you have a solid workflow in place for yourself, it's a fairly quick and easy process. So we've obviously gone through all the options there, but generally the exporting process, I find choosing all of those options and the folder, the location, the size, the file name, easily would take less than a minute, so it's really not a great deal of time at all. Alright, let's export those images. Okay, so you can see that there's a indication there of the export process for those 20 files. Those images are exporting nicely, we're about halfway through. Fairly quick process, and they'll be ready very shortly. Alright, so that's all of them done. If we now navigate our way down to Windows, we can actually see in our exported images, in the full resolution images, so all of those files are ready to go. Excellent. Alright, so from here, we now have the option to do with those images anything we want. But that export process, as you can see through Lightroom, is fairly straightforward. All the information's there in front of us, and we have the options that we need. Hope this video has been helpful about exporting photos from Lightroom. As I mentioned, there's plenty of options available to be able to export images to any size or destination or file type that you like. But as you can see, once you've worked through it a few times, it's a fairly quick and easy process. Thanks again for stopping by, and hope you have a great day. Take care.